for you to.
Becky's the one that always holds up her hand.
Okay, good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee. We have two commissioners who have prior commitments and are out tonight, Commissioner Will Jordan and Commissioner Robert P. So I hope everybody else will be willing to fill in with some motions and seconds. And with that, we'll start with the first item on our agenda, which is to approve the minutes from February the 8th. But we have an addition or a correction.
Correction, yeah. The correction is on page 3 in the under the general purpose school fund, the funding plan that was discussed last month. I incorrectly put or put the incorrect numbers in there when I completed the minutes and sent them out to you, and recognized that just this week when we were preparing for this coming meeting. So those numbers have just been corrected in there as to the amount of the plan.
Motion to approve as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen.
Second with corrections.
Second with the corrections by Commissioner Schaefer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Second item on our agenda is the investment report, and I'll invite Mr. Ted Beatty to come up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our LGIP rate was 137, which makes our effective rate at 163. That's 6 basis points better than we were, and we did have one bid this last month, and that was for 175 basis points. And you can see we had a bid for 181 for a year. We took the 6 months because with the rates going up, we felt it was better to stay short term. And in fact, we had a bid this week that I'll report on next time that we got 175 for 90 days because, you know, the rates seem to be going up. So we're taking a little shorter term approach to get better rates because it seems that rates maybe are on the rise. So that's the report.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
How come so many of them don't bid on it?
You know, we talk with them. A lot of it's just the need for the money. You know, they've got money, and where we've been, when things were low, they could actually go to the Fed and get the money cheaper than they could pay us for it. And so some of them will do it in the community, but sometimes they look and just say, "We like you, but we can get the money. We can get the money cheaper." And so I'm hoping this, with things booming, that we'll get more folks bid, because, you know, we were having 7 or 8 before things turned down, then it got really thin. And so it's picked back up some, and we do at least have 2 or 3 that are much more interested than they were earlier on.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the investment report.
Thank you, Commissioner Ely. Second by Commissioner Jernigan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And while Mr. Beatty's up here, we're going to consider item number 3, which is a general fund budget transfer for the trustees.
Yes, we just need to move some of the money we use for postage over so that we can pay. We've used a service, a third party, to print and mail our delinquent bills, and that whole package has saved us on postage, so we're just moving that over from postage so we can pay for that.
Motion to approve the request.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Schaefer.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Allen. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yeah.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Beatty. Item number 4 on our agenda is the fund condition report. Mrs. Nolan.
Okay, we'll start with the development tax. In February, we received $449,250, bringing our total for the year to $3,504,750. Moving to our cash. At the end of February, we had $394,443,000, with $296,776,000 being operating funds, $97,667,000 being borrowed funds. I have nothing to, unless anybody has any
Okay,
questions
any
on that.
questions?
Yeah. Good. concession stands and the handicap and all this at Smyrna and Laverne high schools. We got to get some
That-
money for them
it's
to
gone.
finish the payments on it? Is that the
Are
way?
you talking about, no, it's,
No, we got funded this, when this last bond issue.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
it wasn't a
okay.
lot that we funded.
It was just for design.
Okay.
Okay. On our revenue review, I have some little yellow highlights. Those are the ones that we have 100% collected our estimate. You'll see that throughout. But some items of note. The collections the property tax collections as of February 28th, the trustee had collected 89.76% of the roll. It's an improvement over last year at this time. Some of the things that you might be interested in. The development tax, of course, has increased, but it's about 12% less than it was last year. Hotel motel tax has increased over 10%, and our countywide sales tax has increased 4.38% over last year.
Weren't we told when we raised it that people were going to quit coming?
Yes, we were.
I think we were.
Okay.
I think we were. Now, pretty much all the funds, when you look at in total compared to the prior 5 years, we are in good position. Going into our last part of the year.
It's hard to believe we're that far into the fiscal year already.
4 months left.
I know.
Motion to approve the report is presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ealing. All in favor of approving the report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 5 on our agenda is the Risk Management Financial Report. I'd like to invite Ms. Street to come up. Welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening. Okay, so we're looking at the month of February. Revenue ended at $7,942,867, with the expenses coming in at $5,267,902, for a difference of $2,674,966. When we look at calendar period year-to-date, we see that our revenue has come in at $14,557,374 compared to prior period of $12,208,692. The expenses calendar year-to-date are $11,322,729 compared to prior period of $11,251,009. Looking at fiscal period year-to-date, the revenue comes in at $42,056,719 compared to prior period year-to-date at $38,588,979. The expenses for current fiscal period year-to-date is $44,450,882 compared to prior period of $45,140,486. On the back page of the report, you can see that calendar year to date just shows that the difference in the revenue versus expenditures comes in at $3,234,645. When we look at that same information on a fiscal year comparison right now, we are to the negative of $2,394,163. If you're ready for Fund 266. Within Fund 266, ending in the month of February, year-to-date, we're at $641,143 compared to prior period of $519,109. Legal expenses would be the next item for review. Our total legal for the month of February ended at $29,365, and Hudson Reed and McCreary received $24,735 out of that amount.
Okay, any questions about these reports?
Motion to approve is presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jernigan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And Ms. Street, while you're here, would you like to present the Risk Management Committee's recommendation on EAP services?
Yes. We bid our Employee Assistance Program services. My current contract ends at midnight on May the 31st. So we were looking for a June 1st effective date of a new contract. We received 3 proposals, one from the incumbent, one from Optum, and one from E&I. In review of the proposal, Life Services met all the parameters and provided lower cost, reducing their fee from $1.44, which is current contract, to $1.38 under the new contract. One of the things that they've also rolled out recently, which is of value to our employees, and I'd ask for it specifically in consideration of our 24/7 operations that we have, is video conferencing. And that became available on March the 1st. So someone who needs counseling services to deal with any type of difficulty, whether it be from divorce or depression or whatever life is throwing at them right now, they can go in and have one face-to-face, and after that they can schedule the remaining visits via video conferencing. And I think that will be beneficial to those who work odd hours outside of standard 8 to 5 scheduling. So. But the recommendation was for the Life Services proposal, and it was accepted unanimously.
Motion to approve the request is presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Allen.
Okay. If something that you've had for years and now it's less expensive than it was in the past, you have to stick with it.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Street. Next item on our agenda is a general fund budget transfer for county buildings, and Ms. Nolan will
I'll take care of
handle
this.
this.
And this is a request to move money from the part-time to create a full-time position, a full-time groundskeeper to oversee all the grounds at the county facilities beginning March 12th. Increase to the maintenance personnel of $9,450, then the related benefits with $13,730 coming out of their part-time line. And this will be everything but schools?
Yeah, and the ambulance people are gonna somehow take care of their own as well.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Jernigan. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. The next item on our agenda is a general fund budget amendment for the county clerk. Ms. Nolan will also tell us about this one.
Yes, the provider that handles the software for Ms. Duke's probate portion of her business is retiring, and so they are wanting to change their software. There's a vendor that is related to local government data processing. You've heard their name before, so who I think she wants to go with. She's requesting to move money out of her monies out of restricted for finance, $24,000 into data processing equipment.
Make a motion approved.
Thank you, Commissioner Jernigan.
I gotta ask then, that software isn't available except through the person that's retiring?
The person's not going to be supporting it anymore.
Okay.
And I think we do still need a second.
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Ely.
I thought you were saying.
These are money she has here, fees that she collects that are for this specific purpose that have been set aside to do these kinds of things as you need to.
Any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan? Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Okay, and item number 9 is a convenience center grant for solid waste. And I'll invite Mr. Nolan up here. Welcome.
Good evening, how are y'all?
Good, thank you.
We've been fortunate this year. Reba Carlton is our grant writer, and she applied for 4 grants for solid waste, and we've received all 4.
Great.
I have to be in Columbia at 8 o'clock in the morning to learn how we're supposed to go through all this stuff. But we applied for the convenience center grant to build a new center. And we're not sure exactly what it's going to cost. We don't have the money in the budget, but we'll have to bid out all the process and then do budget amendments as we go. But this grant is for $100,000, and it is a 50% matching grant, so we'll have to spend $200,000 to collect the $100,000. And the location for this is intended, originally it was intended to go to Rockville, but we're going to put it at Leanna, so we'll have to do an amendment with the state, but that shouldn't be a problem. I've already talked to them.
And I could probably add, Property Management Committee considered both sites and decided to go with the Leanna site.
Right.
Some discussion about that.
Motion to approve the grant.
Thank you, Commissioner
I'll
Allen.
second it.
Second by Commissioner Schaefer.
Is there any restriction on it time-wise?
It's supposed to have everything completed by the end of December of 2018. That was with the grant being awarded to us in January. It didn't get awarded till now, so they're probably going to give us some more time, but we're still going to try to push to be finished by their deadline.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Next on our agenda is a measurement grant for solid waste, and there is a related budget amendment.
This is to purchase counting systems. We looked through, I couldn't find exactly what I wanted. I wanted one tied into the computer so we could see the car counts as they went through from the office. But this would put car counters at all of our locations, plus the city of Murfreesboro and the landfill, to keep track of the vehicles in and out. We can measure all the weights by the load that we haul, but we don't have any idea of how many people or how many vehicles are generating that amount of weight. So we're hoping to be able to break it down to where so many pounds per family per day or something like that to get a little better measurement. We're looking at spending a little over $14,000, so it's also a 50% match, so this grant's for $7,040.
Make the motion to approve the request.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ely.
And the budget amendment?
And the budget amendment.
Yes.
Okay, and the related budget amendment. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. And item number 11 on our agenda is the solid waste budget fund amendments.
Okay, that one is, the $53,000 amendment is to add to our current, it'll be coming out of fund balance to put into, hopefully get us through the end of this budget year to treat and haul leachate.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen.
Another one if you want to take both of
Commissioner
them.
Jernigan. Okay.
You want to take both of them at the same
Okay.
time, if that's all
Yeah.
right?
Okay, this budget amendment is actually moving money from one, we've got 5 budgets, from one budget to another. We've got a little money left over from money to buy a roll-off truck. We want to move it into the litter grant fund to buy an additional litter grant van. We've determined we want a Nissan 12-passenger van, but to get a V8 engine and wait till 2018, we have to have leather interior, and we don't really need leather interior. So we can buy some 17 models that don't have that. So we want to go ahead and move that money so we can buy 2 vans this year instead of one this and one next.
And can we add that to your
Yes.
motion?
Yes.
Okay, both amendments have been
Who
added.
was that?
Commissioner Jernigan, can we add both?
Aye.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. And the last solid waste item on our agenda is a feasibility study with a related budget amendment.
We've contracted in partnership with the city of Murfreesboro with a consultant company to help us do our solid waste issues and find solutions. And the original contract was $250,200 and to get us through the first 4 tasks. And they have done that, and we've spent that funding. Now, task 5 was to be an amendment later for implementation and some more planning. So what they're requesting is $200,000 to get us through the end of December of this year, and then to help us to develop the solid waste authority that they've asked for, and then to figure out what kind of plans that we're going to have for our future.
So this has already been in the works for a while.
Was that?
This has already been in the works for a while.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Over a year now. The city of Murfreesboro has agreed again to partner on us 50-50, and it will require just a simple update to this memorandum of understanding we already have on the money with Murfreesboro. So this, if you approve this, it needs to be subject to us getting that memorandum of understanding updated.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen, seconded by Commissioner Ely.
I have a question. I
Question.
thought all the cities were involved in this.
All the cities have had an opportunity. So far, we haven't received any checks for any participation on the first $250,000, but we will offer this again. And some have indicated they may even ante up in arrears, but we can't promise you that's going to happen.
And we also can't wait on them.
No, ma'am.
Any other questions? Okay, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Bob?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yeah.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Nolan. Congratulations on your grants.
You have to go and clean out your throat now after all this tonight.
Item 13 on our agenda is general fund budget amendment and transfer for juvenile detention. And Ms. Duke is with us tonight. Welcome.
Thank you. I have 2 amendments, so I don't know if we want to talk about them separately or together.
I think we can talk about them together.
Okay. The first one that you're looking at is going to be for some Title I money. We got some additional grant money, and this is just us putting it in the correct line items so that we can spend that extra money. And the second one is no new money. This is from within our existing budget, and we're just moving some monies around to cover some overtime pay, and I'd like to pay down my employees' comp time that they have accrued by half with this money.
Motion to approve the request.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer. Seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Bob?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Duke.
Yeah.
And item number 14 is general purpose school fund budget amendment. And I'll invite Director Odom and Mr. Sandvig, Mr. Clardy up.
The first item is insurance proceeds from a couple of fires that we had. This amendment takes $388,199 in insurance recovery funds that we received or will receive for the Blackman Wrestling Building, which is $336.48. And then the Riverdale concession stand, $52,151, and budget these funds so that the rebuilding and replacement of projects can proceed. So the amendment was $1,336,048 in insurance recovery funds for Blackman Wrestling Building, related expenditures, and $1,052,151 in insurance recovery funds for Riverdale concession stand and related expenditures as presented.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Schaefer. Any questions on this one? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Bob?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Next, a funding request for Rocky Fork Elementary and Rock Springs Elementary.
First, we might take a look at that. I'll have one. Frank has some going that way. We did share this with Health and Education at the last meeting, and some of you have not seen this. So a couple of things. The first thing, I'd like you to take a look at this daily attendance rate, which is a spreadsheet of student attendance or enrollment actually by school. Can take a look at that. And this was done really on 2/27/18. And we have 12 schools, you can kind of take alternative schools off, that are showing 4% or higher growth. The enrollment here is 44,911 for this year, or 1,084. Over the end of, this would have been in the 6-month, ending month is 3/2, so it's been a 6-month funding period. Kind of the thing that's probably more interesting to you is the next sheet, which is kind of cluster breakdowns of why we're asking for this particular school. So it takes the numbers from the spreadsheet side and then it clusters them together, elementary, and then, so I'll look at the second group, the middle schools, south and east. Of course, this would be south of Murfreesboro and kind of east in that arc that goes from basically Rockvale all the way around to Whitworth, Buchanan. So clustering those schools together, 4.2% growth. If you look at the first sheet, the growth for the entire district is 2.41. So you're actually seeing not quite double, but something very close to that in those middle schools. The elementary in Smyrna area, 3% growth, but there's a couple that's going to play very much into our crest for Rocky Fork. Look at Cedar Grove, which is your first one there, 9.1% growth this year, and Smyrna Primary School at 9.7% growth. That's certainly significantly higher than the overall district rate. So when you take a look at those, and I point some of those out because the Rocky Fork would pull from some of those. One of the reasons you're seeing Stewart's Creek Elementary School down is basically we have stopped probably 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, stopped really accepting out of zone transfers. When the board grants a zoning exemption, it's for the time in that school. For example, if a zoning exemption in our K through 5 schools, it would wait until that student is good until they exit the 5th grade. If it's a middle school, it will be in effect until they exit the 8th grade. And then high school would be all of 9 through 12. So what you're seeing is some of them graduate in the 4th and 5th grade, the replacements, but not accepting outside people. You're seeing some decline. And we needed to bring Stewart's Creek down because you know with the building what's going on there. The other thing, our middle schools overall, and it's confirmed on the first sheet in this one too, we are seeing, as I pointed out last year and this year, our middle schools and our high schools are the ones that's growing. The whole middle schools is 3.9%. And you can kind of see that on the first sheet, the spreadsheet. If you look at the column of high school gains, 372 students, middle school gains, 426 students, and elementary 289. So we're seeing our largest gains still in middle and high schools. And there's the growth for the high. Laverne cluster is not growing a lot now, but Rock Springs Elementary is very much of a concern for us. It's 2.5, but already at Laverne Lake is 1,006 elementary students, and at Rock Springs Elementary is 1,024 students. And at Rock Springs Elementary, if you're familiar with the area, the farm right across from that is being subdivided and starting to build upon it. So we'd like to kind of get ahead of that. So one of the amendments is to try to design an addition to that building if we could. So to try to address that potential growth there. Also for Roy Waldron, although they're not seeing particular growth this year, if you've been down 4170 in a while and you've looked at the row of apartments that's being developed there, that's about to change also. Very likely to be lots of children. And that would impact, of course, Roy Waldron and very likely Laverne Middle School also. So kind of what we're asking for then, and was approved by Health and Ed earlier, will be your long spreadsheet, which you've seen before, which we do one each year. This was done basically in October. I do want to point out one thing about this because there's a little bit of confusion and I didn't really address it in health and ed. People started using the $434 million figure total at the bottom, but you've already funded about $151 million of that. Everything in the green, the blue has already been funded. So that figure is just a total that Mr. Sandvik develops for the whole spreadsheet, which you've already funded, like I said.
Actually, it's not.
It's
That-
not.
That was the corrections I made to the
Yeah,
minutes. 'Cause
that's-
it actually
it was
adds up to more than
misunderstood.
434 million, because,
Part of it was my fault.
isn't that right,
I
Jeff?
didn't
The 434
stress
is
it.
not funded.
I think.
Yeah, I think that's correct, because that's the corrections I made in the last
Okay.
month's minutes, because it's actually 586
6
million,
million
I
with
think,
that.
for the
Okay.
total spreadsheet.
Okay. Looking at what we're requesting tonight is Rocky Fork Elementary, and you've already funded the land, the design, and the site. So the net amount would be $36,438,227. So the request that we're funding that, we go ahead and complete the Rocky Fork Elementary. This is beside Rocky Fork Middle School, of course, that we opened this year. We're seeing increase of what percent per year, would you say, Mr. Clardy?
On
Construction cost?
We're running probably 5% right now. at least.
We'd like to try to have that opportunity to, before it goes up another 5%, to go ahead and build that, because you can see it, again, the percentage growth is Smyrna Primary, Cedar Grove, that area developing. They're also developing subdivisions right around Rocky Fork now, also in the city. But that's our first request. You want to separate that one, Mr. Chair, from the design money at Rock Springs?
So you're requesting total project at 36,438, 227 with.
That's the
30
Rocky Fork Elementary,
Yeah.
but if we do
It's
a couple of lines down, 350,000
Yeah, I was
was
just gonna
approved
say.
for design.
Right, the 32,700,000 is
Yeah.
additional funding.
We've already approved 3.68 million of it, so the
Yeah.
32 million is what would remain. 32.7.
And then the 350,000 on a couple of lines down for the design for Rock Springs Elementary.
Only seeking design money tonight for
We
that
asked for
addition.
the addition, but it was changed at
Yeah, we only
Commissioner
approved this-
Allen's committee to the design.
I was trying to negotiate them something to keep it moving, and so that's what we ended up with.
And we've already funded the Roy Walden edition, is that correct?
It's up
Yeah.
to
The design for it.
I mean, the design, excuse me, just the design.
Yes. And last night, the school board approved our cleanup and moving money around in the building program amendment, so we'll be bringing that to Health and Ed next month. We happen to have 350,000 architect's fees for another elementary addition that to be named in that amendment.
Okay.
So,
That should actually fund that
So the
design
funding
for
will-
Rock
Yeah.
Springs.
Okay.
yeah, we thought it might be a bit much to put a name to it yet.
But you're also in an active search for land, which is really an
are.
immediate need. And so we'd be seeing that one come through.
That will come through. We've been looking some, we're looking at one piece of property about if we place the buildings where, how many exactly acres and that sort of thing. That will come forward. The two areas we kind of mentioned to you earlier in land was looking again because I was pointing out the southeast growth somewhere in that particular area. And then also we talk about the north side, and one of the reasons for the north side, we are adding to open middle, but if you'll look kind of at our middle schools, look at Siegel Middle School, you know, when this was printed, they have 1,184 students. And that's not as large at all as, of course, Blackman Middle, and they've had a growth of 5.4%. So that school is very difficult to add on to because it was designed before Mr. Clardy came along. It has those wing designs. Very difficult to add to that because you don't have much room between those wings as they collapse as you come in towards the main building. Mr. Clardy's done the T, much easier to add to the end. So there's so many portables and all there at Siegel Middle now. As my recommendation to the board and to you would be, if you add on to Siegel Middle, you're going to kind of empty the portables, but you don't have much capacity left. Are we better to go out a little further and then build a middle school, even if you build it for 500 or 600, and maybe take care of yourself 8 or 10 years, than add to something that you're almost going to use all of your capacity of just emptying your portables? There comes a time when it makes sense to go out and start another building that you can actually add on to than it does to add somewhere safe. And you were at Siegel Middle, you know exactly the design I'm talking about.
And how many middle schools do we have that are that X formation, like Siegel Middle?
Let's see.
That's
Blackman Middle was, but we moved over to the side with that one, was able to do it. Rocky
Olive Fern Middle,
Burn Middle, Rock Springs, maybe
Rock
Christiana.
Springs,
Christiana.
Christiana,
4 or 5,
yeah.
Yeah.
same plan essentially.
And everything from now on, you're going to see 2-story buildings, the elementary and middle. The Rocky Fork Elementary and all will be a 2-story. Some of you visited John Coleman when we opened it. That's a 2-story, so that's kind of the prototype for the elementary. And of course, you saw Blackman Middle. That's a 2-story. So maybe purchase a little bit less land and one roof, one metal roof, so try to reduce costs that way also.
What are you building, like the new elementary school? What'll be the core for it?
About 1,000.
Just like
Yes.
Well, we were, at one time though, really a few years ago, it was about 850, and your middles were 1,000. But you can look down through the enrollment at our middle schools now. We've already topped 1,000, and hence that's why you see portables sitting around.
We've also gone in there and cut some rooms out of those large common spaces to use for computer labs and those types of things.
Where your wing came up the hallway and was forked off to the Y, they had that big open area in there. That's now been hauled off in pretty much all of our middle schools. Right up from your room, right up there in the corner.
And Mr. Oden, one of the features when we went to the middle school design that was not right angles, the visibility for when you had issues be able to see so easily down all the corridors was a selling point at that point. And maybe we decided the cost differential was, and some of the limitations, but there were some pluses to that too. But yeah, cost and
Administrators can position themselves
Yeah.
at that T
Yeah.
and look 4 ways.
Yeah.
Whereas the Y, you really cannot.
Yeah.
You can't even see the other side
Yeah.
of the Y easily unless you back way away from it.
I think also that going forward, we need to get a security consultant in and start looking at our plans. And I know in capital improvements this coming year, we're going to put enough money in there to go through all the schools and put the card readers in because there's just too many keys floating around that have not been turned in at times, and we'll be able to, if somebody leaves the employment or whatever, we'll be able to just take them out of the system and their card won't work anymore. So we're doing that, but our schools are, compared to the rest of the world, are in pretty good shape as far as security, but I think we can improve it. So in the next couple of months, I'll be looking for someone that can take a good hard look at them. See if we can come up with some cost-effective ways to improve security.
With our newer schools too, what happened in Florida where they pulled the fire alarm, like in, I think, Stewart's Creek Elementary, there's only 2 pull fire alarms, one in the office and the other down at the cafeteria. The technology's got so better with the sensors and all now that you no longer have to have a person come up and pull the fire alarm. So part of that vulnerability with our newer schools is gone with just simply the design.
Are we at any point going to be talking about metal detectors?
We talked about it. We actually had a debriefing today. Sheriff's Department, several people went there, attended that, several of our administrators, special ed and that sort of thing. Here was what one of the officers said, who used the one in metal detector. He said, every kid that comes through will trip the metal detector. High heel shoes trip the metal detector. That literally you'll find yourself trying to have to search. If you got 1,100 kids, you may be searching virtually all 1,100 of them.
Kind of like the airport.
It is. It's so that would be a lot of staffing or something if people try to come the last 10 minutes, which they do sometimes. 15.
You could add a couple hours to the school day.
I don't know, but that's just what they told me. I didn't think of it in that terms, but I can see that.
And I'm not necessarily recommending it or asking for it, I just wondered at some point, are we gonna have to have that conversation? So you're already having it, so.
We're having it, but staffing and now what's happening is.
Well, and Mr. Odom, would you like, some neighboring systems after the incident in Florida did some re-looking and all that, but a lot of what came out, we had moved toward over the years here.
Yeah, we've had SROs roughly 25 years. The others have not had that. So you're never totally prepared, and that's why we debrief and look again when you have a major incident. Today we were looking at the Kentucky and the Florida and looked at the timeline, looked at what happened, things related to it. Is there something we can do to get better? And you really have to look at each building because of the difference in designs and how you handle it. But we constantly do that. We debrief after our own drills. You look at times and that sort of thing. So.
I think one of the best improvements is we've made hardware available, secure hardware accessible to match someone that comes in off the street with some hardware to do some damage, available for the SRO on site. Of course, we keep them under lock and key for the SRO, but...
You actually helped buy those about 4 years ago, maybe?
Right.
Something like that.
Do you see that, it's read somewhere today, that since from February 15th to the 27th, 638 school threat calls were called.
Well, the SROs run down a lot. You just do not hear about the social media thing that they've had to go to somebody's house and talk to mom and dad and sometimes search the house for weapons and all. But I'll guarantee you, your sheriff's department, you can tell the sheriff there, are very active in doing that and follow up on every one of them. They really do. They do a very, very good job at that.
I know some school systems have like a dedicated private security system that functions really inside the school system. Is that, and I'm assuming that they would have more staff instead of less. I don't know if there's any advantages to doing that versus having the SROs. I don't know if that's anything you've looked at either, if that's...
I'd rather have the SRO. And the real advantage, a lot of people asked about the funding and cost of it. It's not, anytime you have personnel, not the cheapest thing, but it's the relationship those SROs develop with the kids at that school. And they will tell me, in most these situations where something happens at a school, some other kid knew about it. And they very often will come and speak to me, hey, privately or something, because of that relationship that's developed. So very important, and very important for young people to see that law enforcement is really their friend. If they're abiding by the law, that's a really positive thing for the community. So I'm very much a proponent of SROs and the job they're doing for us in Rutherford County.
Back to the school motion, this came recommended from Health and Education unanimously.
It was, yes. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen. Second, Commissioner Jernigan. Any other discussion?
And that is for the 36th, the 350,000 design, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this
Minus
includes
the
both.
3.68.
Minus, okay.
Okay, both the remaining funding for Rocky Fork Elementary and the design
The remaining
fees
for Rocky Fork and
for
the design for Rock
Springs
Springs.
Elementary,
Okay.
both.
Thank you.
And then Lisa, you did this for us because you presented it. Health and Ed, is this yours?
Yes, I did, it's only because Commissioner Baum thought that somebody may ask about what our debt is, and so that's just for
That was going to be
information.
my question.
Well, Lisa did a great job.
Interested here.
We had a PowerPoint up for another presentation, so she was able to plug her computer in. And she did a great job walking us through all the different scenarios. So I'm sure that's what you're going to show us tonight. But
Well, if
it was
you-
a
if
very
you-
well researched and discussed issue through Health and Ed.
If you wish, but y'all have seen the results of those, you know, that I would present with the down arrows. I didn't know if y'all needed, because y'all had seen all those various scenarios.
But Health and Ed really scrubbed it. They didn't.
They had never seen it before.
And it was unanimous, so it's
It was
kind of, they
unanimous,
must
that's
have believed.
Yeah.
It was knowing that.
Any other questions, discussion?
Well, let's throw it up, with the 5 years added on, let's throw that on to this 457 million that we have on the sheet. So it's going to be roughly 400 more. We'll pay 30 million off or so of a year.
Well, that's
so-
that's what this second sheet is our debt service. You know,
So you got
what
630.
this is demonstrating is just how we, with our current debt, is what I'm presenting. You know, we're gonna pay off 29, well, nearly 30 million this year with interest that is up at 46.5 million. But next year, under our current debt, we're scheduled to pay off 32, almost 32.5 million next year.
But we're adding, in 5 years, with the plan, if it
Well-
goes according to that, we're adding 400 million
Yeah, and
to it.
if you remember, the scenarios that I had shown y'all is if we did 90, 90, 90,
Yeah.
you know, and how that
Yeah.
looked. And with the mayor, it's like, you know, what's the reality? It's not going to end there. It's going to be 25, you know, at least something afterwards. And to me, it's, you can't add that much debt without thinking that we're going to have to add some funding to it at some point. To me, that's the
Well-
end of the huge story.
I just think it needs to be talked about because it's going to happen. And we know it, those of us that have been here, and know it's coming. And it's coming in the not too distant future, so, but.
And then too, I feel like I have to say this, I know y'all know it, but we will have to, these are elementary projects, so we will be borrowing more than this.
Thank you. I'm through. We
Any
can go
other
ahead and vote.
discussion? Okay, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes?
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yeah.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Thank you all. Okay, item 16 is a general fund budget transfer for general sessions, and Ms. Nolan will be handling that one.
Yes, this is a request to move $2,000 from their data processing services to office supplies to help their funding for the rest of the year.
Move for approval.
Thank you, Commissioner Ely.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jernigan. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes?
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yeah.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes. Next item is general fund budget transfer for the sheriff's office. And welcome, Preble Acton.
Oh, yeah.
Good, how are you doing?
You ready?
Yes.
I need to move $45,000 out of my food prep. I'm gonna move that into my other equipment. We're gonna purchase some more mobile body scanners, 2 more units for the jail. And we're finally gonna get our regulators for our boilers to be able to turn them off when they're not in use.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen.
A second.
Second by Commissioner Schaefer.
You wanna do both grants together?
Is there a second amendment, budget amendment? The next one's a grant.
Right,
That's on the
stop
Yeah.
grant and a GHSO grant.
Okay, maybe vote on the amendment, then go to the grant. Okay, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yeah.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. And now the stop grant.
Like permission to apply for the STOP grant, domestic violence sexual assault grant. We have had I don't know, for a very long time now. They're moving it to 5 years, so it would be $300,000 in 5 years from the county. It would be about $100,000, well, 300 from the grant, 100,000 from us over a 5-year period, about 20,000 a year.
That would be the match.
We don't get them both together.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, y'all are used to the, they call it the Tennessee Highway Safety Office now grant, and that's 100% from the state. We're going to apply for $56,000 in overtime, and it will be strictly with the saturations, DUI saturations, and we're trying to move those to the day a little bit because we're seeing an increase in DUIs during the day. So hopefully we're going to be able to do day and night with that.
It's bad when people are day drinking.
Well, it's not all, it's
Yeah. Okay.
other
I get you.
things.
Okay. Like, man, these are right.
It's other things now.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen. Second by Commissioner Jernigan, and this is to approve both application of both grants.
Yes.
Okay, any questions? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Bob?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yeah.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank
Preble.
y'all.
Item 20 is a general fund budget amendment for agricultural extension. Ms. Nolan.
Yes, and this is a request, and this is using their committed funds. They're requesting $15,000 from that to purchase fans for the livestock barn.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer. Second by Commissioner Jernigan. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Bob?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Item 21 on our agenda is an application for assistance to firefighters grant. This is for fire prevention. I'll invite Chief Farley up to discuss that with us. Welcome.
Good evening. The numbers have increased a little bit since I spoke with public safety, just redoing some estimates and stuff. But we want to write a grant for AFG for fire prevention. This also includes a fire investigation apprentice program, education and training materials. Also, there's some money in there for that will cover overtime for fire investigations. Some of the code enforcement awareness is a complete code set of hardback copies of code books, NAPA memberships. Fire prevention and community risk reduction is a family safety house that we can use for public education, especially for schools and stuff. A fire extinguishing training prompt, a smoke alarm installation, home safety inspections. One of the things that we just did an ISO audit this week, which is the insurance office organization that sets the rates for homeowners insurance. And one of the things we got full credit for is because we've created fire inspections. We look at all the pre-plans through the codes and pre-planning of all commercial buildings. So we're able to put some of those fire codes and enforcement and stuff in the new commercial projects. It went very well, including our training and everything, so we get a lot of credit for this, doing these type of things. And we feel very confident that we're going to probably lower our ISO. When I first took over the county, we dropped it from a 7 to a 5. And with hoping and praying and crossing our fingers, we may drop it to a 3, which will put us in line with the city of Laverne and Smyrna. So, but all these things that we do extra as far as prevention and investigation and stuff goes a lot of ways. We get extra points for that in our grading system.
Save some people money on their insurance.
Yes, and also the commission has bought 4 tankers. Actually, the 4th one will be coming in April. It will go at Christiana. We have a 3,000 gallon tanker at every department in the county, which has increased our water capabilities. When you look at the ISO and water being 40% of your grade, that's greatly going to enhance us. So with this new grading system, what we're hoping to, we did what we call a water shuttle, which proves to ISO that we can transport water anywhere we need it. What that will do is actually it will provide a lower ISO rating for those people who do not have a hydrant. That within 5 miles of the station, it'll probably lower theirs from a 9 to a 5, which you're looking at $500-600 a year homeowners premiums. So we're doing a lot of things going on, but we're trying to do a lot of things to help the citizens out there that we spend tax dollars on as far as equipment stuff. So it's making a big difference.
That's great.
But anyway, this grant will be $262,000. 5% county cost will be $13,130 will be the county's coverage of it. And of course, if we do receive the grant, I'll bring it back for the public safety and budget to be approved to accept it. So this doesn't say we have to take it, it just means we want to apply.
This is just approval to apply.
Yes, sir.
262 even?
262,600 to be exact.
Motion to approve is presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen. Second by Commissioner Jernigan. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Bob?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you, Chief Farley.
Is this, I'm looking at the right one, it says 155,830, so it'll be change for the,
Change of that.
Yeah,
for the commission.
we started,
Yeah.
they were doing some more research and on costs and stuff, and it went up a little bit.
Okay, I believe our last item is for our information only. This is presentation of the state form CT 0253 for the Board of Education EESI loan.
Yes.
Ms. Nolan will tell us more about that.
Yes, you already approved the funding for this energy efficiency project at the schools. They finished it, and so now, since they finished it, we know the amount that the loan value is. It is at 1%. There's no other cost associated with that. That's what this form is saying. And this is for your information, and then we send it to the state.
Any questions on this?
It's a comptroller requirement.
Okay, no action is required by this committee.
Just that we talk about it.
Mr. Sandy told me something possibly good about that today, about the electric bills. Looks
We are
like-
running under, I mean, it's,
But gas is up. because
gas
of
is
the
up,
winter.
but not proportionally, or dollar-wise, not as up as electricity stands.
Maybe it's working.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
working good.
It's hard to assess the weather norm bills.
Okay, any other business for this committee? Okay, thank you for your cooperation. If not, then I'll declare our meeting adjourned.
Who ought to